Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our first episode of Sip and Read with Martinique. I am your host, Martinique Brown. I'm just so excited because this book that we're going to be reading for over the next 4 weeks, I wanted to start reading this book, Choosing God's Best, because I know that personally, I want to find a different way to meet the person that I'm supposed to be marrying. So again, the book is called Choosing God's Best, Wisdom for Lifelong Romance, and it's written by Dr. Raunikar. So before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Martinique the Storyteller. Also, if we're not friends yet on Facebook, what are you waiting for? Send me a friend request so you can always be notified of the different shows that I post. Also, if you are an author and you want your book featured on this show, make sure you just send me a message in my inbox here on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, just make a comment and I'll send you more information on how your book can be featured. Also, the cool thing about this show is I want to have guests on this show. I want to have individuals that give a different perspective on the book that we're reading as well. So like I said, this might be your first time ever tuning into one of my shows. So I really love to make my shows very interactive. If you have any questions or comments, make sure that you make a comment or question, put it in the comment field, and I'll read your question off. Also, another thing is, if you haven't ordered your book, what are you waiting for? You can also find the link to the Amazon book in the description box. I always list all of my information in the description box so that you can be informed of what's going on as well. Another shout out is, so since this is called Sip and Read, you're supposed to have your drink. I don't know what y'all drinking, but I know what I'm drinking and I know what cup I'm drinking from. So Beauty and Brains, I'm just so excited that I've been able to partner with Latonya Thompson. And this is actually her Instagram page. And so if you need a personalized cup for yourself, make sure you go to her Instagram page, which is beauty_brains_by_Tanya. Did you get all that? I know that you can actually see it on the screen right now. So like I said, make sure that you also get your cup from her, and then make sure you also get your book so that you'll be able to be a part of the discussion. If you haven't gotten your book, like I said, what are you waiting for? But it's not a requirement for you to have the book. You can always just continue to tune in. Also, next week, we're going to be talking about chapters 1 and 2. So again, make sure you get your book. If you are interested in just being a part of the book club, make sure that you inbox me your email address so I can keep you notified. So let's go ahead and get started with the book. So now, periodically, you may see me looking down. The reason that I'm doing that is because I wrote notes, y'all. I'm ready. Are you ready? So, hey, Daniel Jones, thank you so much for tuning in. I think the cool thing about this Be Live is you can actually show when somebody makes a comment. That's so cool. Look at that. I'm glad you got a good picture on there, even though that's Tupac and I think Jada Pinkett. But, you know, if you got a good picture, you're going to be put on the show as well. So let's get started. So with this book, Choosing God's Best, Dr. Raunikar, he is really teaching about courting. So I've never courted. So that's why I really wanted to read this book. And I've been having this book on my shelf for so long. It's ridiculous. And I haven't been able to finish the book. So what keeps me more accountable is saying that I'm going to read the book on the show. Then you know for sure I'm going to finish it. So the first thing that he opens up with is Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. And with this book club, y'all, I give my honest opinion. If it's something that I don't understand, I might ask you guys, like, please clarify what this author means by this. There's going to be some good parts and bad parts of the book. Although he is saying that he's written this off of biblical principles, there still might be things that I'm like, I don't think so. But we'll see. That's why we're going to be walking through this book together. So today we're going to be talking about the introduction of it. And make sure that you go ahead and share this video now so that other individuals can be tuning in to the show as well. So again, he first starts off and asks the question, if dating is so wonderful, why does it hurt so much? Okay, so that he gets that out the way. So we already see where his mindset is at. He's like ixnay on dating, with courting. So we're gonna see what he's talking about in this. So some of the he gives a top 10 list of why people continue to date. So I just listed some of them. I just listed 3. So one of them was they wanted to find a marriage partner. That's a good one. The second one is their parents, peers, and the world tell them they should. He's talking about why individuals continue to date even though it hurts so much. And the third one is, he said, they're lonesome. The one that I added in, it's not in the book, but it should be. But I added, it's the only way we've seen and been taught of how to go about finding a spouse. And I can say that that's true for myself. I've never seen any other type of way to get to know somebody except through dating the person. What's your take on that? Why do you feel that people date? What's your experience in that? Like I said, go ahead, and I want to make this interactive. So, just make a comment in the comment field. So also in the introduction, he brings up a book called The Rules, Time-Tested Secrets for Capturing the Heart of Mr. Right. And in this book, it actually teaches 35 old-fashioned courting tips. Now, that seemed like a really good book to read on the show. So he points out specifically that his book, Choosing God's Best, is specifically for singles who are looking for an alternative way to dating. The second thing is, you've never truly understood what God's way is to meeting your spouse. I can say that's me. The third one is, or you're a new Christian and this is one part of your life you decided to put into God's hands. I'm not a new Christian, so that doesn't apply to me. So what will you get from reading this book? So from reading this book, he says that it'll help us understand what plans God has for our life now. That's pretty good. The second thing, he also said that what readers will get from this book is it will help us see how our attitude towards today's relationships will affect our marriage and family in the future. Okay. We're going to see. We're going to test this stuff out as we continue to read the book. So the introduction also discusses that dating is a counterfeit oneness we feel with another person. And when the relationship ends, our heart feels like it's been ripped apart. You tell me, is that how you feel about dating? Do you feel that, it needs to be changed? There's alternative ways that you can do dating so that you won't be so hurt. What's your experience in dating? He also says that when we date, we don't have a lasting commitment, and we don't have a lasting commitment between two individuals, and this feeling of oneness with the person is artificial and temporary. Now, I don't truly agree with that, because I do believe that you can have a genuineness, a genuine oneness with an individual that you're not married to, an intimate relationship with this. And when I say intimate, that does not mean physical, because you're sharing ideas with each other, you're spending time with each other. So, you begin to have that intimacy with one another. So I don't really agree with that it's automatically a artificial oneness with somebody just because you're not married. And I don't want to be cynical, but a lot of people say, well, all marriage is a piece of paper. And I never really agree with that. Marriage is so much more. I do believe that God created marriage. So I don't feel like it's just a piece of paper, but to what they're saying, just because I do have this piece of paper, does not mean that it's a genuine oneness, with this person, or that my feelings for this individual are no longer are invalid because I'm not married to this individual. But you tell me your take. Do you feel that dating is you create an artificial oneness with the individual? Let me know. So another thing that he says to me that I did not agree with, he said, when we follow God's plan for relationships, we are healed and whole, not scarred and shattered. I believe that this is not a true statement just because we are creating these relationships with imperfect individuals. So whenever you have a relationship with the imperfect person, even though it could be God ordained, you can still be hurt by that person. So I really didn't agree with that statement, and I'll read the statement again. He said, when we follow God's plans for relationships, we are healed and whole, not scarred and shattered. So you see right there, he is really pushing for this courting. And, not saying that anything is bad with it. I think that that's great, but I don't like when authors or people write things and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't believe that. And so you tell me what you think. What do you think about that statement? So as we continue to read the introduction, he starts to talk to us about the courtship option. So this is when it really gets good. So he says, one, the courtship option. He talks about how a 16-year-old named Ned decided to practice courting instead of dating, instead of doing casual dating, and decided to wait until God revealed to him who he should marry. Good job, Ned. That is really good. And me personally, don't go based off of when everybody or a guy tells you, or even a female tells you, oh, I'm telling you, God revealed to me that we are going to get married. I had this guy tell me that in college. Look at my hand, y'all. I'm not married to that guy. And so you really just have to have discernment when people tell you those things, because God would reveal it to me as well. And that actually makes me think about one of my friends that I met when I was in seminary. Their husband and wife, and the young lady was telling me about her story of her and her husband. And her husband told her, we've been in this Bible study together, and I really do believe that God has said that you're going to be my wife. And so she's like, what? God haven't told me this yet, and so she's the type of woman that had that relationship with God and was not just the type of person to just jump in the relationship just because he said, oh yeah, God told me we're supposed to be married. She's like, hold on, let me wait till God tell me that as well. And God will let you know if this is something that you're supposed to move forward with then he'll reveal it to you. But every time Dick and Harry might tell you, oh yeah, girl, we're supposed to be married. But that might not even be the truth. So use your own discernment as well, and ask God to reveal it to your heart. So a quote that Dr. Raunikar said, which I thought was really worth mentioning, is he said, dating waves goodbye at the door and says, be home by midnight. But courtship includes time spent with the entire family. So that was okay. I see what he's saying. I see where he's going with that. Also, he says that courtship encourages group activities and ministry opportunities that allows couples practical and productive time together without spending lengthy periods of one-on-one time alone. That's why I'm reading this book, y'all. I have never done that with a guy that I found interested in. I've never said, okay, look, we are not going to spend all this time together because let's try it a different way. Let's try an alternative way. I never tried that before. I never was really intentional about doing ministry together with this guy, or, just focusing on group activities with this person, because I always wanted my alone time with the guy, and so especially because I guess I just more so have to think about the relationships that I was in while I was in college. We didn't have the same classes, we didn't have the same major, so he played sports and I played sports, so we rarely even had time to see each other. And when we did have that time to see each other, I didn't want to be around people. And it wasn't to say, oh, well, we're going to have sex or we're going to be intimate. But sometimes you just want that alone time with that person. But we see how well my methods have worked. So that's why I want to try a different method to meet the guy that God has for me. So I'm going to, because I do have another show. It comes on every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's called Love Chronicles of a Christian Version. I love that show, but hopefully this time next year, I will not still be doing the show Love Chronicles of a Christian Version. Maybe it will be Love Chronicles of a used to be virgin, and now she's married. Just have a super long title. But I do want to implement these new dating. Look at me calling it dating. Alternative methods to meeting the person that God has for me. So the question that I have that I want to put on the floor is, if one of the major principles of courtship is waiting for God to reveal to you that person that you are supposed to be married to, can a non-Christian practice courting? So that's the question that one of the questions that I would like to put on the table. And the reason why I want to ask that question is because, like I said, Dr. Raunikar is saying that God will reveal to you, ask God to reveal to you who you're supposed to marry. And so, or not even supposed to marry, but who you're supposed to be courting. And so with that, if a person is not a believer, is not a Christian, what are they waiting for? Like, what do they use as their measurement to know if they're supposed to begin courting that person? So you tell me what you think about that. This is my personal opinion. I think that it depends on the goal of the courtship within that individual. If it's not to experience the hurt and pain that you experience in dating, then, the principles of courting can be practiced. But with Dr. Raunikar saying that the key component to knowing who you're supposed to be courting is when God reveals it to you, then I don't think that an individual that's not a Christian could practice it. And see, that's why I would like to read that book, The Rules, because I would like to see what is their method of knowing who you should start courting. So I think that would be good to read. So I also think that it's noteworthy that Dr. Raunikar talks about how he was talking to a 36-year-old. He's actually, let me read you his bio right quick. So it says Dr. Don Raunikar was the director of New Life Clinics in Houston, Texas, where he worked as a psychotherapist specializing in singles issues. Until his death in 2004, Dr. Raunikar led Christian singles seminars nationwide and oversaw Lighthouse, a Christian home for young women experiencing crisis pregnancies. And so what he actually did, he actually would have sessions with single women. So in one of his particular sessions, he was talking to a 36-year-old woman, and the woman was getting worried because she was still single. And he said he was really just trying to explain to her the principles of courtship, and she really expressed to him she didn't understand how you're supposed to find the person God has for you, because she was certain that something there needed to be additional things that she needed to be doing to really maximize her opportunities, places she should go, people she should be seeing. And I want to be honest, that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, Martinique, how can you meet, people if you never go do such and such? And so what Dr. Raunikar was telling her was that she doesn't have to do anything but concentrate on being the right person. Really just focus on being the person that God wants her to be, instead of finding the right person. And he said that it's God's responsibility to reveal to her, to reveal to that person whether they will marry and whom they should marry. And I think that is so major, what he said, because he said that it's God's responsibility to reveal whether you'll even get married. And I think people miss that. I think that because we are lonely, we just jump off and we get married to somebody, or not even marriage. We just get in these relationships with individuals. And I think that that's something that I have to become comfortable with myself, just being a single woman. What if God has called me to singleness? Now, I didn't hear being called to singleness until probably the latter years of my college years. I'm like, called to singleness? What in the world? And so people say that some individuals are designed, God created them so that, like, their master plan is to be single for their life, for all their entire life. I've had to, it's never been a struggle of mine, but I think that I've had to become realistic in what if that is the plans for my life, and being comfortable with that. So I just want to point that out. Like, don't miss that. God is going to reveal to you who you're supposed to marry. God is also going to reveal to you if you're supposed to be married. And so I think that that's a different segment all in itself, becoming comfortable with the plans that God has for your life in your relationship status. And another thing that I got from that statement is, if it's God's responsibility to reveal whether you will marry and whom you should marry, and he also was just saying that God is the matchmaker. So with that, I just feel like that just lifts a major burden it should lift a major burden off of people that's single. And the reason why I say that is because I think so many times we force relationships. You know, we force ourselves to be with this individual. We force ourselves to conform to another person so that they'll like us even more or begin to start liking us. And instead of just enjoying life, you know, I think that sometimes we can be so burdened with focusing on our relationship status and how we can make it happen, you know. And I think, I don't know, I just feel like people have become comfortable with not even getting married. You know, they're comfortable in their situations where, you know, they're okay with being in long-term relationships. And I'll just share this with you. The reason why I feel that people are comfortable being in these long relationships and marriage is not on the table or even brought up is because they are having sex. I believe that if you are not having sex and you are in this relationship with somebody, you are going to want to take it to that next level. But because you're just, you know, because you're sinning and you're like, oh, well, we're planning marriage, then what's the point of even getting married? You know? And so I think that that's why so many people and so many couples have become comfortable with not being married at all because they play in the house anyway. So why do they need to get married? Me, on the other hand, I'm like, I gotta, you know, I do want to experience. I know y'all like, we are not watching Love Chronicles of a Christian Virgin. I know you're not, but I just have to read this book with my eyes and my experiences. And so I know that sex is something that was created by God. And it's something that I want to experience because it was created by God. And, you know, to experience that with another individual who I believe and who he also believes has called us together or allowed us to be together, why wouldn't I want to experience that? Hey, Clarissa, girl. So I had Clarissa on the show yesterday. She said she agrees. Hey, Trina. So Clarissa was on the show yesterday. Good show. She was on Love Chronicles of a Christian Virgin. She decided that although she's not a virgin, she decided to practice celibacy. You need to watch that episode. It's still on my timeline, Facebook timeline. Watch it. So, and the reason why I talk about the burden of it is because I know that when I would go to the club, I did enjoy myself with dancing, but you do notice the individuals that you're attracted to. And so you get disappointed when those guys don't approach you, when they don't come and dance with you. And so instead of me enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying the people, enjoying the music and the environment, I'm thinking about, you know, what hasn't happened yet. I'm thinking about trying to make something happen, you know? And so I just feel like that statement from Don Raunikar, where he says, it's God's responsibility to reveal whether you will marry and whom you should marry, and that God is the matchmaker. I just really feel like that takes off a burden on my shoulders, and I hope it takes off a burden on your shoulders as well, that, you know, be yourself, focus on who God wants you to be. If you're not a believer in God, I strongly encourage you to check out God, ask him to reveal himself in your heart, and I know that sounds kind of odd, like how in the world somebody gonna reveal himself in my heart? But what it is, you know, God created you, and so he knows how to talk to you specifically in ways that you understand. And so I pray for you right now, for individuals that's watching this, that's not followers of Jesus Christ. I just pray that, you know, you do meet a person that is a Christian and that they can help you have a better understanding of who Jesus Christ can be in your life. So with that, so in the last section of the intro, Dr. Raunikar expresses that dating creates more problems than it solves, like broken hearts, STDs, I'm horrible at this word. Excuse me, y'all. Illegitimate children, abortions, feelings of guilt and shame that can last a lifetime. And I do agree. I do agree that when we date multiple people, we do, we carry that baggage of hurt and anything negative that they've created or put on you as the person in that relationship, you do carry it on to that next relationship, and so I know during my college years, I had no problem with having multiple guys that I said to myself, well, I'm just talking to them. I'm just getting to know them. And I justified it by saying, long as I let everybody know what's going on, that I'm not in a monogamous relationship with this one person, then it's fine. But I realized, and it took this one guy that I was talking to, and he said, I wish I never met you. And for me to realize that I caused that type of hurt to somebody, and I called myself a Christian, I really had to step back at how I approached dating. And I just said that I can't be the cause of somebody else's pain like that. And so that's what really just got me on the plane of only like dating one person at a time, really just focusing on that person. If I felt like this was not the person for me, then I automatically let them know, this is not the relationship for me. We can be friends, but this is it. And that's really what helped me to be a lot more upfront and honest with guys. What has helped you to bring you to the point where you're at now in your life with dating? How are you feeling about courtship? Everything that we talked about today. Do you feel like this is something that you would like to practice, or are you still like, I ain't going for all that courtship stuff? But so that was pretty much everything he talked about in his introduction. So this time next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday. So every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on Martinique Y Brown Facebook, we're going to be talking about the book. So next week, we'll be talking about chapters 1 and 2. Make sure that you go ahead and purchase the book. The link is actually in the description box. Make sure you also get your cup from Latonya. Remember, her information, her Instagram page is actually in the description box, because you can't be sipping and reading if you don't have nothing to sip on, if you don't have your cup. I wish I could show y'all, but I'm just drinking water right now because I'm trying to maintain my figure. So anywho, like I said, we're going to be discussing chapters 1 and 2. Make sure that you go ahead and share this video. Like I said, if you want to be a guest on the show, let me know. I think that would be so fun, so we can have two people with two different perspectives of the book, just talking about what they think. Also, make sure that you begin to write your questions up and your comments as well after you purchase the book. And I hope you guys have a great night. I've really been just thinking about life and, who God created me to be. And I'm just telling you, I just believe that God created us for a purpose. And I just pray that you begin to just live out that purpose with or without a boo, and that's the thing. God created us in a way that we can live it out. Like I said. So I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.